Hi everyone, thank you for joining me and welcome to this reading for your horoscope spread on the Instagram post. So I didn't do a proper intro, or at least I didn't figure out how to link everything through to Vimeo from Instagram. Instagram doesn't allow for clickable links yet, so it's very hard to kind of direct you guys in the direction of the house clarifier readings. So I'm going to just attach this to the videos in which I didn't explain this for you guys. So this is why you're watching this intro. So basically this video is a sample of what you can find on Vimeo. This is a reading connected to my Instagram post for the horoscope spread for 2018, in which I read for each of the houses of your horoscope for your natal sign, and made a separate video for each house to clarify what kind of energies you should expect for 2018. Okay, so those videos are now available on Vimeo for rent. And this is a sample video that shows the center card for that horoscope spread and what you will expect in each of the videos. It's the same format for every single one. So because we can link through from Instagram, we're going to show you a sample here, and down below you can find the direct links for all of the houses for your sign. So stay tuned, and now you are going to watch the video that I taped for the center card in each of the horoscope spreads. Now if you don't want to rent the video, by the time that this video reaches, or the Instagram post reaches 500 hearts, I will be releasing some of the videos, if not all, on YouTube. So you can hold on tight, and when that post reaches 500 hearts, then I'll be able to release that for you guys on YouTube. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for your sign. Happy 2018. I'm sure you're hearing it a lot, but anyway, thank you so much. Bye. And thank you for joining me today, and welcome to this clarifier reading for the astrological post that I made on Instagram. I'm excited to be here with you guys, and so we're going to go through all the transits through the houses as I've described them here. So your core message is the Empress, and this video is available for free because you guys can get a sample of what to expect in the 12 houses. Just like a little side note, I have astrological videos available on YouTube for 2018, as well as full tarot video available for 2018. So go check those out. This video's series is available for rental, and then if we reach 500 hearts on Instagram, then I will make some, if not all, the videos available for free on YouTube. So if you don't have money, if you want to save your money for Christmas or whatever, then you don't have to rent it. And I'm sure that at some point these videos will be released for free on YouTube. Okay, so this is a free sample video describing the central card, which is the Empress. So that's the overarching tone of your year. And so yeah, so it's just a sample of how things work with these readings, so you know what to expect. So your core message is the Empress, which means generosity, giving, caring towards others, providing some kind of sustenance to the world around you. There may be a year of creativity that comes through for you really strongly. In fact, this year looks like it's going to be a lot of change. So if you read the post on Instagram, or if you're looking at those cards, a lot of change is underway. You have, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 even change cards. All of them are there from the higher arcana, which means that you are going through a transition. And so the Empress is in the midst of a lot of change. That's when our instincts kick in, and that's when we make choices to improve our lives for the better. And so I feel like the Empress is you being creative and you channeling that energy of creativity. For some of you, that's motherhood, but for others, for the majority of people, that's just pure creativity, regardless if you're a man or a woman. So here are 3 cards from the Tarot de Baleine, and I'll pick 3 cards random for each of the houses. So I'll pick 3 clarifiers, and we'll go and look at each card in a little bit more depth right? This is a really cool deck from the 18th century, I think, and it has different astrological associations, and it has also different meanings. So I will be mixing up the meanings a little bit, varying them up based on what I see on here, combined with the traditional meanings that we use in modern reading, right? So here is the main message. So we have the Three of Pentacles. So you have this is pretty similar to the way that we read it now, but this is good change of fortune, or good fortune that is coming for you at this time. The Three of Pentacles, it has a lot to do with work, and it does look like there is a huge emphasis on work in your life this year. There's a lot of productivity, and if you look over here in your 5th house, that's the house of fun, enjoyment, you know, those kinds of things. You have the Sun. So I would suspect that the things that you enjoy doing are the things that will lead you to a certain degree of success. At the core message, we see the Six of Wands, and so the Six of Wands represents this overcoming success energy that is here with you this year. So you're really being guided to, based on this reading and on these cards, to in some way fully be present and emotionally engaged in whatever you're doing. Don't get too tied up in ambition or something that you're trying to achieve. Do what you want and try to bring about more of what you like doing, what makes you happy. That's going to be kind of your formula for success. The next message is we have the Seven of Wands, and so with the Seven of Wands there is this kind of reinforcement of who you are, what you are setting out to do, what you wish for yourself with others, kind of putting forward your ambition, putting in a nicest way possible, putting forward your goals and aspirations out there and seeing what comes of it. Now these are all lower arcana cards, and they're kind of in the middle, right? Like between 3 and 7, right? So this is a lot of learning this year, a lot of growth. It is a cycle change, which I would suspect would show in 10s and 1s, and I'm sure we'll see that in the other houses. But as a general overview of your year, it's not really the transition that's the focal point. It's about weaning out more of who you are. So if you look, we'll do the 1st house next. We have the Magician there, and the Magician is like taking control and going a certain direction based on what you want. You're not a novice anymore. You know what's going on. So the next deck that I'm going to pick a card from in each video is the Angel Answers by Doreen Virtue. Very pretty deck. And what you can do when I do that is put a question in your mind, and as I pick a card, then that will clarify your question. So here we go. Here is your first card and your first clarifier. These are very simple answers, so it's up to you. So yeah, a lot of onus is placed upon your shoulders. We'll see more about this in the 1st house. And then your first clarifier is, excuse me, I didn't explain well, I didn't clarify well. I'm picking also a card from the trunk. So here is the Priest. So the Priest is the Hierophant. It is the card of Taurus, which is right beside you in terms of astrology. So there's an emphasis on the 2nd house, and I feel as though that's a huge thing. You have the Devil there in the 2nd house in your chart, and so I feel as though there is going to be dealing with some level of compulsion. Taurus rules the 2nd house, so it's bringing my attention to the 2nd house for you a little bit. Overcoming, being righteous and being humble and doing good work just for the sake of doing it. That's kind of the methodology. Stay with the Sun, stay with your 5th house, move forward, and allow the other things to transition and change. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for the 1st house. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me, and welcome to this reading for your horoscope spread on the Instagram post. So I didn't do a proper intro, or at least I didn't figure out how to link everything through to Vimeo from Instagram. Instagram doesn't allow for clickable links yet, so it's very hard to kind of direct you guys in the direction of the house clarifier readings. So I'm going to just attach this to the videos in which I didn't explain this for you guys. So this is why you're watching this intro. So basically this video is a sample of what you can find on Vimeo. This is a reading connected to my Instagram post for the horoscope spread for 2018, in which I read for each of the houses of your horoscope for your natal sign, and made a separate video for each house to clarify what kind of energies you should expect for 2018. Okay, so those videos are now available on Vimeo for rent. And this is a sample video that shows the center card for that horoscope spread and what you will expect in each of the videos. It's the same format for every single one. So because we couldn't link through from Instagram, we're going to show you a sample here, and down below you can find the direct links for all of the houses for your sign. So stay tuned, and now you are going to watch the video that I taped for the center card in each of the horoscope spreads. Now if you don't want to rent the video, by the time that this video reaches, or the Instagram post reaches 500 hearts, I will be releasing some of the videos, if not all, on YouTube. So you can hold on tight, and when that post reaches 500 hearts, then I'll be able to release that for you guys on YouTube. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for your sign. Happy 2018. I'm sure you're hearing it a lot, but anyway, thank you so much. Bye. And thank you for joining me today, and welcome to this clarifier reading for the astrological post that I made on Instagram. I'm excited to be here with you guys, and so we're going to go through all the transits through the houses as I've described them here. So your core message is the Empress, and this video is available for free because you guys can get a sample of what to expect in the 12 houses. Just like a little side note, I have astrological videos available on YouTube for 2018, as well as full tarot video available for 2018. So go check those out. This video's series is available for rental, and then if we reach 500 hearts on Instagram, then I will make some, if not all, the videos available for free on YouTube. So if you don't have money, if you want to save your money for Christmas or whatever, then you don't have to rent it. And I'm sure that at some point these videos will be released for free on YouTube. Okay, so this is a free sample video describing the central card, which is the Empress. So that's the overarching tone of your year. And so yeah, so it's just a sample of how things work with these readings, so you know what to expect. So your core message is the Empress, which means generosity, giving, caring towards others, providing some kind of sustenance to the world around you. There may be a year of creativity that comes through for you really strongly. In fact, this year looks like it's going to be a lot of change. So if you read the post on Instagram, or if you're looking at those cards, a lot of change is underway. You have, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 even change cards. All of them are there from the higher arcana, which means that you are going through a transition. And so the Empress is in the midst of a lot of change. That's when our instincts kick in, and that's when we make choices to improve our lives for the better. And so I feel like the Empress is you being creative and you channeling that energy of creativity. For some of you, that's motherhood, but for others, for the majority of people, that's just pure creativity, regardless if you're a man or a woman. So here are 3 cards from the Tarot de Baleine, and I'll pick 3 cards random for each of the houses. So I'll pick 3 clarifiers, and we'll go and look at each card in a little bit more depth, right? This is a really cool deck from the 18th century, I think, and it has different astrological associations, and it has also different meanings. So I will be mixing up the meanings a little bit, varying them up based on what I see on here, combined with the traditional meanings that we use in modern reading, right? So here is the main message. So we have the 3 of Pentacles. So you have this is pretty similar to the way that we read it now, but this is good change of fortune, or good fortune that is coming for you at this time. The Three of Pentacles, it has a lot to do with work, and it does look like there is a huge emphasis on work in your life this year. There's a lot of productivity, and if you look over here in your 5th house, that's the house of fun, enjoyment, you know, those kinds of things. You have the Sun. So I would suspect that the things that you enjoy doing are the things that will lead you to a certain degree of success. At the core message, we see the 6 of Wands, and so the 6 of Wands represents this overcoming success energy that is here with you this year. So you're really being guided to, based on this reading and on these cards, to in some way fully be present and emotionally engaged in whatever you're doing. Don't get too tied up in ambition or something that you're trying to achieve. Do what you want and try to bring about more of what you like doing, what makes you happy. That's going to be kind of your formula for success. The next message is we have the 7 of Wands, and so with the 7 of Wands there is this kind of reinforcement of who you are, what you are setting out to do, what you wish for yourself with others, kind of putting forward your ambition, putting in a nicest way possible, putting forward your goals and aspirations out there and seeing what comes of it. Now these are all lower arcana cards, and they're kind of in the middle, right? Like between 3 and 7, right? So this is a lot of learning this year, a lot of growth. It is a cycle change, which I would suspect would show in 10s and 1s, and I'm sure we'll see that in the other houses. But as a general overview of your year, it's not really the transition that's the focal point. It's about weaning out more of who you are. So if you look, we'll do the 1st house next. We have the Magician there, and the Magician is like taking control and going a certain direction based on what you want. You're not a novice anymore. You know what's going on. So the next deck that I'm going to pick a card from in each video is the Angel Answers by Doreen Virtue. Very pretty deck. And what you can do when I do that is put a question in your mind, and as I pick a card, then that will clarify your question. So here we go. Here is your first card and your first clarifier. These are very simple answers, so it's up to you. So yeah, a lot of onus is placed upon your shoulders. We'll see more about this in the 1st house. And then your first clarifier is, excuse me, I didn't explain well, I didn't clarify well. I'm picking also a card from the trunk. So here is the Priest. So the Priest is the Hierophant. It is the card of Taurus, which is right beside you in terms of astrology. So there's an emphasis on the 2nd house, and I feel as though that's a huge thing. You have the Devil there in the 2nd house in your chart, and so I feel as though there is going to be dealing with some level of compulsion. Taurus rules the 2nd house, so it's bringing my attention to the 2nd house for you a little bit. Overcoming, being righteous and being humble and doing good work just for the sake of doing it. That's kind of the methodology. Stay with the Sun, stay with your 5th house, move forward, and allow the other things to transition and change. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for the 1st house. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye. Aries, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to this reading for 2018. I'm excited to be here for you guys. This is the higher arcana reading I do every year, and it's supposed to cover the entire year. So we're going to go and look at some tarot trumps using the tarot oracle and using the tokens to clarify. I did do an astrological reading for you guys that is also available on YouTube. The link for that is down below. And then secondly, I did an astrological tarot reading where I put a tarot card for each of the houses on Instagram, and that's linked down below. And then I did clarifier readings for you guys on Vimeo, which are mini readings for each of the houses of the Zodiac, so you can see the energy of that area of your life. And that's available in the link provided in the About section down below. So if you'd like to support me in the channel, you can rent a video or two. But once the post on Instagram reaches 500 hearts, then I will release some, if not all of those videos to YouTube. so for free. So hold on tight if you don't want to spend the money, or if you don't have the money, by all means just wait, and sooner or later some, if not all, those videos are going to be free anyway. Okay, so here is your free higher arcana tarot card reading. I'm using only trumps. I do this reading every single year, so expect the Death card to come up, expect the Tower card to come up, and the Devil. Those are guarantees. They're definitely going to be a part of this reading, okay? So just be okay with that. Here is your core energy for the year. We have the Judgment. I really love this card, and in this deck it's so pretty. The decision to facilitate somebody's passing. Not passing to die, but I mean moving on, or moving in a new direction. Putting the rest to pass to rest. Yes, I love this card. This card is ruled by Pluto, and there's an emphasis of Pluto energy this year. It's not necessarily Pluto that's causing it. In fact, it's the other planets that are with Pluto, namely Lilith, the asteroid, the troublemaker, Mars, the troublemaker, and Saturn, the old grumpy man. So all those planets are together in Capricorn with Pluto, and this is going to be a big Pluto year. In fact, next year is going to be as well as 2020. So the next few years are going to have this huge transit and an emphasis of Pluto energy, particularly 2020. So whatever happens this year is kind of a precursor for 2020, so you want to make sure that you are paying attention to that energy. But tomorrow, but next year is as well. So really pay attention how that's personally affecting you, and watch what's going on with world events. Read the news, you know, just get informed and have your eyes open. Some of it is going to be amazing, but some of it's going to be really difficult. So the Last Judgment is really kind of cutting ties with the past and moving forward. Fresh energy for Aries. The main part of the year for you, I would assume, is around your birthday. You're going to see a stellium come through in the first house, Venus and Mercury. Oh, Venus is going to be there in March. So Mercury, Chiron, Uranus, the Sun are all going to be in Aries for the last time for like a long time, because Uranus is about to move into Taurus. So Uranus has been very good for you. He's created a lot of ingenuity, opportunity for you to go in new directions. And so this is kind of the payoff year for that. It's time for you to embark in a new direction, to go and pursue whatever it is that you've learned to pursue. Go be yourself. And you need to think about this from like a removed place. Don't think of it like, in the last year this happened, or you know, this is what I've been up to for the last 6 months. Uranus transit is 7 years. So you really need to look at your personal development over the last 7 years and go with that energy. That's the energy that you are after. Here is your clarifier for this transit. We have Justice. This is the card of balance, which is wonderful with this, because when you're breaking away, you want to do so in a balanced way. So this is what helps or hinders you. This is a traditional interpretation. This is honorable choices, right? Making honorable choices in situations and circumstances, balancing things out. I feel as though maybe a Libra person may be important for you this year. Not for all, but that Libras always tend to bring in order and balance, and they do so very seamlessly. They just do what they do, and they bring, you know, patience and continuity into situations, removing extremes, which this card tends to create for positive and negative. So expect a year in which you are gonna go and challenge the status quo, particularly in the Instagram reading, which I already completed for you guys. There's a lot of change. The theme that I saw was that you guys are just pushing forward like really hard, and because you're pushing forward so hard and releasing the past, there's like a potential for a lot of upset, a lot of change, a lot of just you know, movement to release and move forward. But there's something to be said for balance and for change. And so this is wonderful that it's here. This also means that you may have to wait on something. There might be some kind of responsibility that you're still waiting on, that you still have to see through, okay? Something like a legal proceeding or some kind of bureaucratic thing that you're waiting to finalize. Maybe it's school for some of you, okay? And you're just ready to go, but something's holding you back. Maybe something to do with your career, because your Capricorn house is your 10th house of career. I didn't clarify that. But if you're wondering about the astrology that I just talked about, go to the astrology reading first and then watch this video. Literally, it's 10 minutes long, and a lot of the stuff that I'm mentioning here is already explained, and then I put a nice chart for you guys to see, okay? Here is the next message. We have the Strength card. This goes up here in terms of your public life. We're going to move the candle out of the way. So we have the Strength card, which is putting your personal strength and fortitude to things. Now, I've been working through this energy a lot right now as we speak. And I've had some stuff come up. Life happens, right? Nothing too dramatic. And my response to that was physical exertion, which is literally strength. So some of you may turn to exercise or some other types of physical activity to really deal with whatever is going on around you. And this is your way to push through the situation. But on a deeper level, of course, strength represents personal drive, personal courage to go forward and challenge whatever the status quo is in your life, whatever is continuous in your life, whatever has been stuck and whatever has continued. Below the surface, we have the Lovers, okay? So this is beautiful. So you are seemingly on your own, but below the surface is a deep love connection with someone else, a family connection. There is a bond that's deep for you, that's driving you. If you don't have someone in your life, then this is the driving force to the seeking that balance. Now listen, if you don't know the person whom you are connected with in this particular way, and you feel a strong drive towards searching for that person and trying to find them, then that means that that person is out there. It's just you haven't met them yet. You know, we have 7 billion people on Earth, 7 billion, right? Or 7.8. I mean, it's growing so fast. But, you know, you need to just find that person. And I don't actually believe it's just one person. I believe that there are many people who are appropriate. But I feel as though for you there's a beacon. A beacon for me means that there is like a lighthouse in the waters for you. And that lighthouse is that one person who is ideally matched. In the past energy, we have the World. This is change and transformation, opening up hope in new directions, growth. This is the World was coming to you in the recent past, and that's still affecting you. What that means is that more answers were brought to you from different perspectives. You were able to access more resources. Things were given to you, that answers were given to you from outside of your regular community. So you may have been reach a certain level of ability to manage or cope with life in your community, and you had run out of choices, and the world had suddenly given you external support. So it's like if you live in a town and you need to do yoga. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of yoga, so all my references are yogic. So yeah, so you're in a small town and you really want to do yoga, and I understand you can do yoga on your own, but let's say you want to do hot yoga or something, and there's no access point for that. Maybe there's some external thing. There's no teacher there, you know, who can teach appropriately, because teachers in yoga are very important. And so magically the world brings around a turn of events that brings a teacher to come in to your town and teach yoga, and your answers are there. So sometimes that's a very archaic kind of idea, but this is the same kind of strain of what's going on, that your resources were spent where you were stuck, and the world or the universe conspired to provide you that which you needed. Okay? And you don't get to decide what it is that you get. It's really based on need, and it's based on a sequence of events that is calculated beyond the reference of your subjective point of view, which means that the world is doing this for all of us together at the same time, and in order to maintain balance, we don't get to control that part of things, because that teacher's life is free choice, and your life is free choice. And so the universe balances everything out and helps us to come together or come apart. The oncoming energy is the Tower, which means that you're going to go through a drastic change in 2018. I really feel that that's the truth. There's really definitely some kind of Tower experience, a destruction of the status quo, the order of things. I do feel like you are the perp. I feel like you're the one who's doing that to yourself, but in a good way. I feel as though the Tower for you is going to be liberation from something that was stuck, that was consistent, and that was just exhausted. Here is the next message. We have the Hanged Man. So this is you in the situation. So we have, sorry, I took these off camera. So we have the Hanged Man, suspense and waiting. So a lot of this year is going to be spent waiting and waiting and waiting. In your overview reading with the astrological spread on Instagram, I felt that as well, that there was times when you were ready to move so fast, and yet there was moments where you had to wait for the appropriate time to make happen whatever it is that you needed to happen. Okay? The next message is, so we have the High Priestess in your environment. So there is definitely guidance from someone around you, lots of feminine influence in your life. There is an oracle that is providing you guidance and vision about the directions that you're meant to go. So there's a transcendent vision that is guiding you in a specific direction. The next card is Tradition. This is your hopes and fears. So on the one hand, you really long for community, you really long for maybe marriage, but then on the other hand, I think that that's the thing that really frightens you as well. So you really want that interconnection, you want that bond, but then at the same time, it's kind of frightening as to what it will mean in your life. So this card I'm not turning over until the end. So that's the outcome. So next we're going to move on to modifying the cards. So first we're taking a look at strength. The first modifier for your personal strength for 2018 is the Chariot. I feel as though strength and Chariot are deeply connected. Strength is ruled by Leo, Chariot is ruled by Cancer. So for me, the Chariot is spiritual strength. And strength is to do more with resolve, as well as possibly spiritual strength as well, and physical strength, of course, as well. But the Chariot is about spiritual connection to the universe and overcoming obstacles through your spiritual fortitude, through your connection to your belief of a higher power and of whatever energies that are guiding you. The next message is the Star. So you feel, whenever I have the Star in this position up here, I would be like, it's almost like difficult things happen, but you just water under the bridge them. You're like, okay, well, it's a part of my larger destiny to move forward. Now, the sign for the Star that rules the Star is Aquarius. So this means in your social life, you could be expecting Leos to come through Aquarius and Cancer to be a big part of your life moving forward, etc. So there's this personal strength and fortitude that's guiding you regardless of what you are doing. You're kind of shooting for the stars. You know that saying, when you shoot for the stars, when you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. So maybe we'll say it differently. You shoot for the stars, and even if you miss, you might land on the moon. That would be great. So just remember, if this is the moon card, I'll be very happy little girl. So yeah, we have you're going to be experiencing a lot of synchronicity in your life in terms of your social relationships, which means that a lot of different people will be coming through just out of the blue at specific times when you need them. So there'll be like a serendipity, synchronicity going on, which means that you will be meeting certain people at specific times that are going to give your life significant meaning, maybe even encourage you to be strong, encouraging you to keep going in the direction that you've set out for. Next, we're going to clarify the Lovers. So this is a very independent energy. Socially, publicly, I feel as though you're really pushing towards independent aims. And I think that's probably happening because Uranus is at the end of your first house. Uranus in the first house transit is deeply independent, and in the last degrees, it's encouraging you to go your own way more and more and more. The Lovers, let's clarify. But in the private sphere, it's all about family and love. Here is your next message. We have bondage, which is the Devil. So bondage, issues of control and freedom, with the modifying the Lovers. Okay, so I feel as though some of you are tied to family situations. This would explain the Hanged Man, as though somebody in your family requires that you are there with them or helping them, or maybe there's someone who, you know, has a long-term disability or something like that that ties you to them, you know, or maybe responsibility through promises that you've made that keep you from going fully where you want to go. That's true for many people, and I feel as though there could be a deep connection, particularly one based on trust and fidelity and loyalty, which are really hard to break if you take them seriously. Here is the next message. You have the Sun. So, and it's not like you're struggling, like this person, you know, is in some way, I was worried, but this is a card of total happiness. So having the Sun here, it's like you're cocooned in your home with a loved one, and it feels really good. So there's a positive reinforcement for your sacrifice. There's a positive reinforcement encouraging you to stay where you're at. And so the Sun is like blessings in the personal sphere of things, fulfillment and joy. Let's see how the past is modified. The World was there, which means the universe gave you the world to find your solutions. We have the Hermit there, which is the card of Virgo. So I feel as though maybe it was a self-searching solitude, separation from circumstances around you, and doing things on your own to find solutions. You knew something within you was guiding you, particularly learned experiences were guiding you to making certain directions and take certain directions to get something out of life. The second clarifier for the World is Temperance, which is the card of Sagittarius. So careful combining. Maybe you had in a certain way pursued like the creating harmony in your life and creating fusion of things. So maybe creating your life through combining various different little pieces like a jigsaw and trying to put it all together, right? Here is the oncoming energy. The oncoming energy is the Emperor, which is the card of rulership, managerial influence. This could be the oncoming of a partner, or the demand of a partner upon you. Suddenly there's going to be some kind of request, demand. There's something is asking you to do something for it, and I think that that's going to be the big shift, because everything is pretty harmonic here. Everything's pretty stable, and then the Tower happens this year and it's a change. So either you're getting asked to get married, or somebody's asking you to move for the relationship. There's some kind of upheaval that is going to happen because of your relationship to the Emperor. That can also be you, but it's a masculine influence, you know, or it's business related, like you'll have to make certain changes with regard to your career. The oncoming energy is also modified by the Empress. So the Empress is fertility, sensuality. This is the feminine influence, I feel, more so than the High Priestess. But there seems to be, the Tower can mean as though there is either a serious breakup, which I didn't see in the other reading for the Vimeo / Instagram reading. but maybe there is like a breakthrough in something that you've been waiting for, and maybe there is a breakthrough in something that you have been waiting for, or possibly, well, we'll clarify it with the tokens in a minute, or possibly some kind of change in lifestyle. This can actually mean pregnancy, I feel. Beyond the fact that she's pregnant, there could be a pregnancy involved that changes your lifestyle, and that's why you're also waiting. You know, there's a significant theme here that is associated with waiting on things, holding things through. The next message is the Magician. So this governs the first quarter of the year, January through March or so. You're initiating, taking chances. This is you pushing forward beyond that which you know. Okay, the second quarter is April through June or so. So this is change. This is the Death card. Change and transformation, releasing the past. So I think that probably in the springtime, or if you're in the southern hemisphere in the fall, you are going to release the past, and you know, kind of that change is going to happen. Then the next message is we have the Fool. A new beginning happens in the third quarter, so that's between, I would say, August to October or so. New beginning comes through, change and transformation. Oh, so big changes, and happening really early in the year. And the outcome, not the outcome, I was hoping for the moon there, but the moon came out in the winter time. So this is where you land on the moon. So yeah, so this is also strong feminine energy. So you break away, you go and do your own thing, and then you come into your feelings of the things that you want. Maybe it's a wake-up call that you have to change. I think that you have something that you sort of wanted, and then you reject it as though it's not something that you really wanted. Maybe some of the facets of that thing were not what you wanted, and so you break away and you go a different direction, and when you go that different direction, then you are going to, when you go that different direction, then you are going to have a wake-up call or an awareness experience. And I think it's going to be humbling. I think it's going to be humbling in the sense that maybe your propensity to move forward, to change, transform, to take initiative is going to get humbled at the end of the year, where you're, when the world's going to say, hold up, where are you going? What are you doing? Get your act together. And you're going to be like, aha. So hopefully that emperor or empress that you're challenging with your behavior is still going to be around. So be mindful as you go through these things. Remember, with the astrology, you get things stuck in your head, you know, especially with things like Lilith. There's this like ambition influence, or, you know, like a taunting energy, like, oh, it's such a good idea to do this or that, you know, when it's not. And then you come to your senses when the transit passes and you're like, what was I thinking? That what was I thinking is usually a transit, a really strong transit influencing you to think a certain way. Let's see the outcome for the year. So you have the Wheel of Fortune. So wonderful. So don't worry, it's very happy. How did I not catch that? This is one of my favorite cards. So yeah, something good is coming, and it's going to put you in check, and I think that the outcome of that is going to be your personal growth. You're going to learn the lessons of Uranus, like, really thoroughly, and it's going to really hit home, and it's going to challenge you to challenge yourself, like to overcome something within yourself, to go beyond that which you know, to go beyond conformity, you know, and change the future, change the direction of your life, you know, and change the nature of your relationship. For some of you, I mean, for those of you who have like really intense transits in Aries, or someone who really vibes with the energy really strong, that Tower could be your relationship falling apart. But for most of you, it's just going to go through turbulent waters, I feel. And then And then you're going to learn a lesson through that. And the main message is humility. You push forward, and then you're just like, stop. You need to stop. Okay, so let's clarify with tokens. So we have the message of Libra, that's balance. Where did we see Libra? Right, so bring balance into situations, order. Maybe this is concerning a Libra person. So we have a chakra here. We have the heart chakra for the outcome. Yeah, so it's like back bends. I'm all about the back bends, you know? Like open up the front, open up your heart, you know? It's a very vulnerable position because, yeah, the body, you know, we're built to protect the heart, right? So to extend it forward, it's a very unique experience. But yeah, open heart. A Pisces might teach you how to open your heart, or your yearning, or your desire. The loss of someone, missing someone, is going to teach you a lesson. And then the Hanged Man. This is like friendship ideas, trying to find balance in friendship and love. Let's clarify that Empress and Emperor and that Tower. So this is Juno, the ideal wife. Now I don't have that up in the astrology, but yeah, the ideal wife, the ideal partner. Change. Maybe you finally meet that person and you're just like, wow, this person is so perfect. Yeah, you feel that. Judgment. What is your decision? What is your decision? Oh, hold on. So you have Capricorn. Okay, so I think that decision you're going to make really soon, right at the beginning of the year. Unless you make it right at the end of the year, but that would be weird. Like next year on the 21st of December in 2018. I almost think, but maybe consistently pushing forward towards something. The outward manifestation is Virgo. Okay, so this is going to be about your self-searching. Maybe you took a page out of a Virgo's book and you're like, I'm going to pursue this, kind of learn this stuff and challenge my world and go in this direction. Below the surface, let's see. Below the surface is marriage. There is a marriage that is happening, and this is the full-on marriage token. So yeah, there's a marriage that's happening. A marriage that's happening, and the Wheel of Fortune is the outcome. This is about releasing your South Node, and your South Node is actually changing this year to Capricorn, and that will happen in November. So, oh no, that was up here. Yeah. And in Capricorn, that's your public life, releasing your public life. Maybe this has to do with stigma. Maybe the person who is involved is in some way not appropriate for who you are in the world, and you feel as though, you know, and then you learn. I don't feel like it's a Libra. I feel like it's a lesson of balance, and definitely that it's going to come through in Libra, which is in September and October next year. But I feel as though you're being humbled, and then you come to realize that you're wasting life away for yourself or the other party, or probably both. Let's see the High Priestess. What is she about? So she's a fire sign, most likely a Sagittarius or Aries. She's talking about spirit. It's almost like you get up on your thing, like what's right for me. You're looking at the superficial over the interpersonal or the deeper things that are ruling us. And I feel as though that is a limitation that you are imposing upon yourself that is not going to lead you to great happiness or joy. It's going to actually lead you to feeling as though you've shortchanged yourself in the long run, when you do realize that, you know, you're sacrificing and affecting the world through greed. Or not saying that you guys are greedy, but I'm just trying to get, you're analyzing why you're moving forward so fast, right? You're sitting within the energy. Why change is so important for you. All these cards are change, 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 right? So you run, 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 and then you sit there and you think about it and you're like, whoa, what did I just do, right? And I think that this year is about that. It's just you change, you have home base, and then you change, 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 trying to chase something. It's almost like, you know, when they take the dogs in, it's horrible that they do it, but they run dogs because in tracks, and they put like a toy or something that resonates for them, and then the dogs look at the toy and they run after it. That's the kind of energy we're talking about. Anyway, Aries, I hope you have a wonderful 2018. Check out the astrology, check out the Instagram reading, and check out each reading for each sign of your house on Vimeo. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy 2018. Take care. Bye, dear. Aries, thank you for joining me, and welcome to this astrological transit preview for January through June 2018. I'm excited to be here for you guys, and here is just a really brief overview. I'm aiming to make each video 10 to 15 minutes, so it's going to be very comprehensive, which means that a lot's cut out. It's giving you just a general idea of what's going on, and then we'll go into depth maybe once as the year progresses. Just as a sidebar, this is a clarifier for the main tarot card reading on YouTube. It's linked down below, so you can check that out. That's where I talk about these transits without using the wheel and explaining them. I also did a second reading on Instagram, and it's using the wheel actually, but I'm using tarot cards to clarify each of the houses, and that's actually clarified on Vimeo with a rental, in which I go into each of the houses and I clarify each house in depth with a mini reading that you guys can rent. If the post on Instagram reaches 500 likes, then I will make those videos in part or in whole available on YouTube. Okay, so let's get into the transits. January 31st, we have a full moon total eclipse. So this is happening for you in your 5th house of romance, romantic activities, the things that you feel passionate about. In fact, this year, you're going to feel passionate a lot this year because you have the North Node transiting in the 5th house. Full moon energy accumulates and it grows, and it's either an end of a relationship that's really sucking, or really kind of embracing a new relationship that you've worked up towards having. On February 15th, we have a partial solar eclipse in Aquarius. Now this is in your 11th house of social relationships. This starts off your year right with initiating new friendships and new social relationships. The South Node is here, Mercury is here as well. It's nice little stellium. Venus was just here as well. So you should be beginning a cycle of new friendships coming into your life, giving you opportunity, letting go of friends that are reflective of like things that no longer apply to you is also a big theme at that time. The next chart we want to look at is March. This is when Jupiter goes retrograde. This year, Jupiter is in your 8th house of change and transformation. This means that there's going to be a lot of change. I like Jupiter in the 8th house because basically what I found it does is that it, whenever something ends, it kind of gives you a cushion and gives you something good. You can get quite addicted to this energy and start terminating things like, I want to finish this because I know something better is coming. But when when Jupiter goes retrograde, that energy is somewhat diminished, so you want to go easy on your termination of things. But Jupiter is going to be retrograde between March 8th and July 10th, all in Scorpio in your 8th house. Okay, on March 22nd, this is a map for March 22nd, by the way. We have Mercury going retrograde. I think I referenced this in your reading for 2018. Mercury going retrograde in your 1st house. So this is a difficult transit that you want to be aware of for you, because it's your 1st house, how you express yourself, and there's a lot of planets there at this time. That's a big stellium there in March in your 1st house. So the attention's on you, and you're going to have the propensity to miscommunicate or misunderstand information between yourself and others. So you really want to take your time And don't initiate so many new ideas into circumstances until after April 15th when Mercury goes direct. So you want to wait on kind of being a bit over the top between March 22nd and April 15th. With so many transits, you're going to want to be kind of out of the box, present your wildly intellectual side, communicate to others all your ideas and the things that are happening in your mind. You definitely will have the feeling that you want to do it, but I would say a little bit of temperance is helpful at this time. Venus moves into Taurus on the 31st of March. This means that she's in rulership. This is in your second house of money. Cha-ching, for 3 weeks you're going to have really good financial windfalls. In fact, the whole transit of Venus is good for you in terms of financial status, position, the opportunity to find work. We see also Mars here in Capricorn in the 10th house. We'll talk about this more. For you, this has to do with career. It's a very specific transit that's going to have a huge impact on your life. It started right now with the conjunction of Lilith and Pluto, but then it's going to influence Saturn and Mars. That means that your career is going through a huge overhaul. Your Instagram reading for the tarot cards for this house, you got the last judgment, the new aeon, the new beginning, breaking through, and Mars here in late March is definitely going to add a lot of energy to this. Mars will actually be in this house for a long time, as it will go retrograde in Aquarius and dip back into Capricorn by late summer, and then again back into Aquarius. So Mars is hovering in this area throughout the whole summer and late spring, and so this is adding a lot of action oriented stuff to your career and social life. Okay, April 17th, this is when Chiron enters Aries. So Chiron's been in your 12th house for a long time. This has felt deeply personal, things you can't really explain to anybody else, stuff that you may have felt like disqualified from expressing to others. And now with Chiron in their first house, the onus or the spotlight is on difficulties that you have within your personality, and you're asked to heal aspects of your personality that may have been hurt, that may have procured you to behave a way that isn't really authentic to who you are. This transit lasts a long time because Chiron does not last its transit in the same sign for the same amount of time. Sorry, I said that very poorly. The ecliptical transit of Chiron means that certain signs are transited by Chiron for longer periods of time, namely Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. Whereas in certain signs like Virgo, Chiron is, I think, less than a year. So at this time, this is a long transit for Chiron, and he is going to be putting a lot of spotlight on your personality and in terms of the things that you need to change within in order to be, quote unquote, a better person. Now this is when Lilith moves into Lilith creates a conjunction with Pluto. If you go back to August and September of 2017, that was Lilith with Saturn in Sagittarius. Now Lilith is creeping in on Pluto. Pluto's way more reactionary. Expect bigger, kind of more dramatic scenarios. Lilith is disturbance of energy, so she creates a kind of a hostile environment, which is not good for planets like Pluto, because that can really spur up a lot of problems. In fact, Mars will be transiting through this area at the same time. So in April, I would say even from April to early September, this is a very, very tentative area of your life in terms of career. If you can avoid, take your sick days, try to avoid work, try to do things in a way that is not combative with others, because things will get really competitive and really intense. Having said that, there's a lot of opportunity to progress because you could get very focused on something and try to make it happen. Saturn is also going retrograde on April 17th. This is a map for April 17th, and will continue to be retrograde until September 6th. So Again, all in Capricorn, all in your 10th house when Saturn is retrograde. That actually decreases the pressure of trying to be perfect in your career. So that's going to give you a bit of a break, but really your career is going to be a pressure cooker for you in late spring to early autumn. Or I should say it in a neutral way for the southern hemisphere, from the second and third quarter of the year. Okay, and so finally on April 22nd, we also have Pluto going retrograde. This happens just a few days later and will continue to be retrograde all in Capricorn until September 30th. So there is this kind of intense energy. The exciting thing is that Uranus moves into Taurus in May 15th. So this is a chart for June 26th, a month later, but Uranus moves into Taurus at that time, and that's a really exciting time when Uranus is going to be transiting in your second house of money. This means that you're going to have unorthodox ways of making money, and those things are going to be different than everyone else is used to. So you're going to have this novel outcome and approach. This is, for the time being, going to be also challenged by the opposition of the nodes, and Uranus is the focal point. So in life, we follow a couple different patterns. One is physical and one is spiritual, and through following spirituality with the south node and the north node, we start in the south node and we make our way to the north node. Okay, so in our spiritual progress, our metaphysical, archetypal selves, the imprint of our own divinity progresses in life from the south node to the north node. Okay, and so at this time, for some time in the spring, there's going to be a T-square on Uranus, brand new in Taurus, which means that there's going to be hang-ups with regard to some of the changes that you want to make in a tangible way in your life, particularly to do with finances, that's going to be in conflict with your spiritual progress. So I don't know that these are difficult questions for morality or if there's some other kind of barrier, but you need to be really patient with that. Trust that once it moves off of this T-square, you'll have much easier time dealing with the energy. So if you can hold off with making big decisions with money, I would really recommend that. On June 18th, we see Neptune retrograde, and Neptune retrograde is in your 12th house that it rules. Neptune retrograde in the 12th house, not so many dreams, not so many visions. It might be more of a realistic time for you, a sobered up time. For some of you, that's great. For some of you, you're going to feel as though there's just not enough there for you to draw upon, and life can get a little drab between June 18th and November 24th. But it's not going to stay drab. I mean, you have the North Node in Leo, and you have lots of good transits. There's lots, but it's going to get very mechanical for some of you, and so that's why. And it'll get back to normal November 24th. On June 26th, the last transit I want to talk about, Mars goes retrograde in your 11th house, in your 10th house, changing your career, social status to get more out of people around you, and maybe get a second chance at being friends with someone who you missed out on. So this is going to give you this opportunity. Your sweet spot is kind of the middle of August, when Mars will be retrograde in Capricorn again. Mars will go direct on August 27th, and I think it goes direct at 27 degrees of Capricorn, so it never actually reaches so far back. So if Lilith has caused some kind of commotion in your public life, some kind of embarrassment, Mars can come in and clean that up by the end of summer. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. I have my tarot card reading on YouTube for 2018 linked down below. I have my Instagram post reading for 2018 linked down below. And I have the clarifier mini readings for each of the houses linked down below. And you can see those either on Vimeo for rental for supporting me and the channel, or on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk with you soon. Take care. Bye, Aries. Hi Taurus, and welcome to this reading for 2018. This reading covers January through June 2018, And this is a very fast astrological overview for the next 6 months. I'm really looking at maybe 10 transits and with 5 maps. So it's very simple, very basic, but I hope it gives you a good idea of what's coming up for you in 2018. So this is a chart for January 31st, 2018. This is when we have the full moon eclipse happening in your 4th house. This is going to be an area of your chart that doesn't actually get that much attention, with the exception of this full moon. So this is going to have something to do with your family, your home, and this is an accumulation energy. This will allow you to go a different direction, possibly change your course of direction with your family. If there's stuff that you need to work through, this is a wonderful full moon to overcome and to persevere through, particularly with all the work that you've been experiencing, all the positive experiences in terms of your career. Next, on February 15th, we have a new moon eclipse, partial solar eclipse, that happens in Aquarius, and that is in your career. So this is going to be a time for you to initiate career advancement moving forward. Next, we see on March 8th, the Jupiter retrograde period begins. So that period lasts until mid-July. So Jupiter is in your 7th house this year. This is the house of partnership, both business and romance. You're learning big lessons and getting good opportunities coming to you in terms of partnership themes. The retrograde period begins on March 8th and continues until July 10th. And so during this time, Jupiter is less active in this area of your chart, but it's also a good thing as the positive things that Jupiter has brought into your partnership life get to settle in. Next, on March 22nd, we see the first retrograde period that happens this year, which happens in the sign of Aries. All of the retrograde periods for Mercury are in fire signs this year, and so we see Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. This is the house of spirituality, your spiritual connection to the divine, amid a massive stellium here in Aries that happens between March and April. This is going to affect your personal dialogue to spirituality. I don't see Mercury retrograde in the 12th house as deeply problematic, only when you're interacting with institutions such as the law, or possibly with educational institutions, religious institutions, etc. You might want to not necessarily have deep discussions about various topics at that time. Venus moves into a rulership position on March 31st in Taurus. So Venus, which is right here on March 22nd, will be in your 1st house. This will lead to a 28-day, 23-day transit of Venus in your 1st house. So between the time of March and April, I would say for the month of April, you will get a lot of attention quite easily. You'll be able to get attention from the environment around you. Next, we're looking at April, and so this is a chart for April 17th. Chiron goes retrograde, Chiron moves into Aries in your 12th house for the first time in a long time, a couple decades. And so Chiron's transit of Aries lasts about 7 years. Chiron isn't equal in all of the signs. So I think it's 7 years for Pisces, 6 years for Aries, 5 in Taurus, something like that. It has a long elliptical transit rather than a circle one. So that's why it lasts longer in Aries. For you, this is a relief because for a long time you've been dealing with issues of friendship and fraternity. And so now you are kind of looking at your issues with the spiritual. Somehow spiritual issues are easier to resolve, but you are going to have like a spotlight placed on any kind of spiritual dilemmas you're experiencing or spiritual difficulties that you have to deal with in your life, and it's going to really push you to resolve those things. Another retrograde period that begins on April 17th is the Saturn retrograde period. So this is actually one of the retrograde periods that I look forward to every year. This is happening in your 9th house. So anybody who's writing exams this year, you should be very happy for this transit, because the 9th house has to do with higher education, and Saturn retrograde takes the heat off, and this is going to be right for exam period. So those of you guys who are in school, you will definitely have less pressure on you. You'll be able to study better, get more information in, and not have the exams won't be as hard as they would be if Saturn was direct. The retrograde period for Saturn lasts between April 17th and September 6th. And so this is going to be in your 9th house of ideas. As you can see, I'm going to introduce this idea now for you guys. This is a massive stellium that's evolving in Capricorn, featuring some pretty hard-hitting planets. And so Lilith is there this year, creating quite disharmony, quite a challenge. This is when Venus starts moving into a conjunction with Pluto in your 9th house of philosophy, personal ideas, and concepts. If you take a look back to 2017, you'll remember when Lilith created a similar kind of conjunction to Saturn, which was then in Sagittarius. So this is a similar type of energy as Lilith transits over Pluto, except Pluto is more unstable than Sagittarius. So expect even more kind of chaos coming up in your life, this time to do with long distance travel, higher education, and university, and your thoughts and ideas. So definitely not the time to be really thinking about making sweeping conclusions about your life and about your perspective about your life. Next, on April 22nd, we see Pluto going retrograde. This is a 6-month period. Pluto is retrograde from April 22nd until September 30th. In your 9th house, this is going to be a time when your thoughts and ideas move towards the past more so than kind of looking forward. It's a time for reconciling things and thinking about how you got here, how everybody got here. So your emphasis this year, Taurus, is definitely in the 9th house of ideas and concepts here. In the spring, you see this Aries stellium, but that stellium is going to shift really quickly because the Sun and Mercury are going to move right through. Okay, next on May 15th, I don't have a map for this, so we'll just use the map that I have for April. Uranus will move into your 1st house. I feel like this is one of the better transits that you can look forward to in the next couple years. Uranus in the 1st house makes you very forward thinking outside the box, approaching circumstances with like new perspective, understanding situations, welcoming new ideas in. It makes you really ready to unpack and change the world around you so that it works for you better. That transit begins on May 15th. It will create a T-square to the South Node and the North Node, which will have this energy balance itself against your home and family life and your public career. So you're going to be really managing these changes vis-a-vis the established roots that you've placed in your community and as well in your home, but you'll feel really motivated to move forward. Next, on June 18th, we have Neptune retrograde. This is happening in your 11th house. Neptune retrograde is very different for each and every one of us. For some of us, it represents a positive change, a sobering up of ideas. And for some of us, this represents actually a time when there is more confusion. This all depends on the individual transits that you have and how your Neptune behaves in your natal chart. The best way to gauge what is going on with Neptune, look back to this period last year and see how your life was. A theme in your life, particularly in your social and friendship circles, was back last year in 2017. I almost said 2016. Neptune in the 11th house focuses on friendships, particularly friendships from abroad. And so maybe at this time you may be reaching back to connect with friends you've met before. It's definitely a more subtle transit. It kind of adds a bit of spice to your life, a different tone or energy. But yeah, it's something to consider and look at as well. Next, on June 26th, we have Mars retrograde. So Mars is actually hovering in Capricorn for a long time. Mars will be retrograde from Aquarius. So this is a chart for June 26th. Mars will start retrograding in Aquarius and then move back into Capricorn for the end of the summer, while it goes direct on August 27th in Capricorn. So Mars really hovers in this whole area while Lilith transits over Pluto. For me, that time period is going to be a hot spot of activity, possibly some danger, so make sure that you are aligning yourself with the right things. For you, this is important to note because this is so high up in your chart, right alongside your MC line. So this is going to be the outward most manifestation for your life. And Pluto and Lilith are so close to the MC line. They're actually the closest point. Lilith at some point is the closest point to this line alongside the South Node, that while Mars transits over this point and then retrogrades back, it will have a huge impact on your life, which means really watch your temper. Don't get caught up with undesirable people and their undesirable ideas. Move forward towards the goals that you want to achieve for yourself. Do your own thing. Find power and activity in your thoughts and ideas. Turn away from anything that's a negative thought or self-sabotage, and just have that kind of fearless warrior confidence about you this year, and turn away any kind of negativity or kind of stuff that is self-defacing or challenging to your goals and ideas and ambitions. Anyway, so that wasn't too hard, was it? We did it in 12 minutes, so I'm getting faster. But yeah, this chart covers the time period for January through June. And if you'd like, there is a supplementary tarot card reading in the About section below. And also, I did an Instagram post astrology tarot reading. That was linked down below for Instagram. And each of the houses of that astrological reading, I did a free mini reading. That's posted on Vimeo. You guys can rent each video for a time on Vimeo if you want to find out what's going on specifically in that chart, in that area of your chart. But once the Instagram post reaches 500 hearts, I will release some, if not all, the videos on YouTube for free. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a happy new year. I hope you enjoy my tarot card readings, and take care. Bye, Taurus. Hi Taurus, and thank you for joining me, and welcome to this reading for your Instagram post and the horseshoe reading that I did on Instagram. This is a house by house explanation. As you can see, the post is here, and I'm going to go through each of the houses to explain to you guys how what the energy is for each house. So the core energy is the devil, and so this is your sample video so you can figure out how this works and whether you want to rent any of the other videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, it means that the post reached I think 500 hearts, and so I've released some, if not all, the videos. So let's begin. So your core message for the year is the devil. Now, for those of you who have a significant person in your life who is a Capricorn, this will mean that this person will be a very big core of your life in 2018. If you don't have a significant Capricorn person, this is a bit of a warning to make sure that you are not ignoring things or not addressing issues that should be addressed. Also, for some of you, this could be a warning against substance abuse or maybe overindulgence in sexuality, etc. For others, this can just mean sexuality on its own, so that doesn't necessarily mean anybody's indulging in anything too much. But this is about oftentimes about ignoring things or trying to avoid certain truths to make life easier. The act of avoidance through using substances, situations, people, etc. So if this is an energy that you're working through, then this is just reminding you that this is going to influence all the different parts of your life. Now, in each video, I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards from the Tarot de Baleine, and clarify the reading. So let's clarify. With the first card, we have the Ten of Swords, which says that something in the past had a very definitive and clear end for you. Something really came to an end in a big way. It just really, the door was shut, and now is a new beginning. So this can feel as though there is catharsis and closure, and you feel better for moving on. But for some of you, some of the wounds that the Ten of Swords inflicted could have weighed you down as well. The next message is the Eight of Wands. So this means that there will be a lot of positive messages coming into your life, or distractions possibly, that will make you feel better about current situations, about your feelings about things, and the direction that you are taking. The next message is we have the Nine of Wands. And so with the Nine of Wands, we're really always focusing on drawing inward, drawing into the home. If you notice, your fourth house, which is the house of home, has the Hierophant, which is actually your card. So this may go hand in hand with this energy. This means that you will find great strength within your home and within, you know, the security of your private space. Your situation will be grounded and centered within that. So the message overall, I would say, is that there is a bit of a distraction and a moving away from a situation that was not conducive for you, Taurus. And there will be a lot of positive messages encouraging you to go in a more healthful direction. And maybe the Devil represents actually a refusal or a denial to do so, or a barrier to this. So these are the the Angel Answer Oracle cards, and each of the houses I will pick one, and then you guys can put a question in your mind, and then we can see what that energy brings. So here is your Angel Answer Oracle. So improving health. So for some of you, you may have gotten some health concerns. Just as a side note, astrologically, there's really not that much going in your house of health this year. So you should not be expecting a huge amount of activity in that area, neither in your 8th house of change, death, etc. Jupiter will be moving into the 8th house in November 2018, but Jupiter is usually benevolent and brings improvement rather than any kind of difficulty. So improved health, that can include emotional health that may have taken a beating in the recent past. Let's take a look. The final card that I will draw for each of the houses is a clarifier from my chest, and here is your message, the Five of Swords. So there is a loss. You've taken an L for a situation, and as though you are moving away from it, but just turning the other cheek and really directing your life in a new direction, really trying to overcome, push past, and push forward. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Now it's either that you are watching these on YouTube for free, or you're checking them out on Vimeo, and in which case, thank you guys so much for renting. The first house is next, so we're going to talk about the moon. Okay, thank you. Bye. Hi Taurus, and thank you for joining me, and welcome to this preview reading for 2018. I'm excited to be here with you guys. This is the big higher arcana reading that I do for you guys every single year. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'm excited to be here for you guys to do this reading again this year. So I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you're looking forward to this. As a supplement to this reading, in which I only do tarot, I did an introductory astrology overview. That's linked in the About section below, and that covers the months of January to June. So make that, check that out if you want to know more about the big transits and how they are affecting your sign. We'll definitely talk a lot more about this in 2018. Secondly, I did a horoscope spread on Instagram, and I did a clarifier reading for each of the horoscope houses on Vimeo, and that's linked down below. If that spread on Instagram reaches 500 hearts, I will release some, if not all, of those videos that are for rent on Vimeo on YouTube for free. So thank you guys for the support, but let's begin this reading. I will be clarifying with the with the tokens, but first we're going to use the Oracle Tarot to look at the main energies that are with you, with us, for 2018. So this is going to cover the months of January through December. So it's the whole year. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside, and your primary energy for 2018, sorry about the glare. Ooh, you've got the Star. Hey, Taurus. Actually, now that I think about it, in your December reading, there was this energy that came through really strong as well, as the outcome of your December. Wow, this is so exciting. So you're stepping into some big stuff, and I've already done your Vimeo reading, and I know that there is something brewing for you guys that is really, really important. I feel as though it's not going to come through necessarily to full maturation in 2018, but what you do in 2018 really prepares you for that energy to move forward. Let me show you this candle here. Okay, so the Star is not only the card of the soulmate, which means that a soulmate might be coming into your life, it's also the card of being in the right place at the right time and going in the right directions, having the right inspiration and hope. The Crossing card is the Strength card, which is the card of Leo and passion. Also a big theme for you in December was that of having passion and strength in the direction that you were taking, in the direction that you wanted to take with your life, right? So there may have been a certain degree of personal fortitude that you expanded towards your circumstances or situations. This is more about throwing up and out, and this is more about internal processes. So it's really wonderful to have these two cards together. This is your personal truth, and this is like your universal truth, or your position in the world vis-a-vis the universe. I feel as though this is going to be just a magnetic year for you. In terms of your Vimeo horoscope reading, you had the Magician in key places in your chart, and I felt like you had a lot of things going for you. There's a big challenge that comes up for you in 2018, but I think at the same time you have great blessings. So success, when we're really successful, oftentimes we get challenged the most. So don't beat yourself up. Don't be worried so much about what's going on, and just trust that wherever you are going, wherever you are taking things, those are good places and good directions for you to go into, okay? The top card, the outward manifestation energy for 2018, is the Sun. Boom. Taurus, you're so lucky. You've got the Sun on your side. You've got the Star in your heart. What's going on? So you're really blessed this year. Remember, the core energy of your Instagram reading is the Devil, which can represent challenging events and circumstances. So if that's the case for you, then it's really important for you to be mindful of that energy. Draw on the positive directions. There's this polarity in your readings and in your charts that's focused on choosing the right people, cutting the wrong people out, and going in the directions that are good for you, and leaving the things of the past that were really not good for you, and there was something really important, just leaving it behind. The underpinning energy for you is tradition. So this is the card of Taurus. This is your card. And remember, all of the tarot cards are going to come up for this reading because I'm using the higher arcana for the entire spread. So expect to see the Death card and the Tower come through. So you have this tradition. So on the one hand, you're going out on a limb. You're doing your own thing in your own direction. And there's like a different approach to things that you're meant to take on. So if that's the case, just honor that. Don't be bashful. Enjoy your connection to the sun. Enjoy your connection to the world around you. Great happiness for you in terms of your social relationships this year. But I feel as though on a personal level, you're really aspiring to make connections with established traditions and norms. This can mean a marriage, an established relationship, or possibly a group that you really closely identify with. In the Vimeo reading, you had the Emperor as your 12th house ruler, and so that's a pretty exciting card for that area of your chart, because it means that you're closely aligning yourself to some kind of order and you are playing a key part in that. The past energy that you have is the Chariot. This is the card of overcoming situations and circumstances, moving past issues that had got in your way. This is the card of Cancer and happiness and joy. This could have been someone who had a great influence on you. This could have been a moment of romance. You're leaving behind a relationship, but there was a part of that relationship that was really tender and nice. And so you're having a hard time moving past it, I feel. And I feel in 2018, you are in some way moving towards a new relationship. And this already started in 2017 in December. I saw that. Or a new facet of a relationship that you've already established. So don't think that you're breaking up with your partner if that's the situation you find yourself in. So if you're with someone, you're kind of leaving behind old ways of being and moving towards new ways of relating with your partner and letting go of the things as if they were the partner that you were leaving behind. You're leaving behind the old them and embracing the new them. So that's not necessarily a prediction of a loss of love. In fact, here there's nothing about that. There's about growth, potential, expansion. But in the past, there was this romantic moment that really stirred your heart and inspired you. And I feel as though it really guided you towards a new direction, a new hope, new love. The oncoming energy is the World. And so with the World, you have this new opportunity, new hope, and opening up energy that's there with you. And so there is a great potential for you. I feel for many of you, a new career is opening up. You have the Fool in your 10th house as your ruler for the horoscope reading. So you have this energy of opportunity and growth. You have a lot of travel in your chart, a lot of opportunities to go beyond your community, expand your horizons, have fun with the new things that are coming into your life. This is the card of growth, which means that everything that's happening for you this year is meant to happen. It's your destiny. And I don't feel, these are really primary cards, and because they're all so positive, I feel like this is saying from the get-go, this is a very magical and a very special year for you that you should feel excited to be a part of. I feel as though your heart is just expanding and connecting to the right people over and over again. The only advice that I would give you about all this is that be careful for naysayers or haters. Be careful for people who tell you, no, that's not the way. This is not the way I would do it. A lot of times people will speak from their own perspective, right? So they'll tell you all this and that because they're not feeling the energy that you're into. I feel as though you have overcome something and now you're seeing the benefit over that overcoming quality. So now you're moving past that moment and now you are embracing the future in a new way. You and the circumstances, you have the last judgment. So you're making hard decisions this year. You're making decisions between work and your social life. Maybe you've made a hard decision about a potential partner or a romance that started and may have fizzled out. But you are moving forward, upwards and upwards and onwards towards new directions. You're also allowing all old aspects of yourself to come back. So for example, if you feel as though you were really cute in high school and you somehow lost track of, your personality through life's experiences or challenges, you may make that active choice to go back to being the more carefree, the more fun-loving, the more gregarious version of yourself. So there's definitely room in your life to be able to build up this year. And from doing your astrological preview already, from doing the Vimeo reading, I feel as though there's a lot of room in your life to really shine and to bring out like the great side of Taurus this year. In fact, I'm super excited for you guys because Uranus is moving into Taurus in the mid-year, about the mid part of the year, and I feel as though that's going to be a really beautiful transit. And it's a long one. It lasts almost a decade, and it's going to really transform who you are as a person. So you can really take ownership over that transit right off the bat, and start working on the parts of yourself that need to be refined, the things that need to move and progress and move forward. The next message in your environment is the Lovers. So I do feel as though there is a significant relationship that is looming. In the Vimeo reading, there was a lot of that on in terms of there's a relationship that's almost there, not quite, and you're waiting for it to mature. Make sure to be patient with that relationship. And I feel as though in the December reading, we start talking about it, it becomes very much like a honeymoon period. And if you're already in a relationship, then your relationship that's established is going to pick up steam. The Fears position, or the Hope position, is the Hanged Man. You're really worried that you're going to get stuck in the same old patterns. However, we have the Chariot here, which means that you have already in some way suspended or finished up a learning lesson, so you're not necessarily going back to the past. So you can find confidence in the fact that you're moving forward, and there's no guarantee that you have to go back to something. There's no guarantee that you have to go and keep dating the same kinds of people, or dealing with the same kind of situations or conditions and limiting belief systems and encounters. You're really going a new direction this year. Don't expect it to bear all the fruit in 2018. Some of those fruit will come around in 2019 and 2020 as the current transits get stronger and stronger over the next 3 years. But I do feel as though in 2018 you're already feeling the benefits. However, I do feel as though you might have a bit of a competitor. You may have a bit of a challenger to that. Now that can be a person, that can be a situation. Something's taunting you, and that's because you are on the right path. So your goal, or the thing that you should probably try to do best, is really fight for yourself to continue in that direction without seeing the full yield of the outcome yet in 2018, and trust that if you keep going with your things, if you keep it moving, keep it going, then the positive outcomes will be there for you by 2019. So let's modify the Sun. Let's take a look at your first card. We have the High Priestess. So this represents that maybe some very clear insight into situations has led you to make certain decisions that are good and that are insightful, that are well made and well deserved. So it's like being looking at a situation very clearly and knowing that's the situation or the direction that you have to take, and knowing within yourself that that's the direction that you're meant to go down. The next card is the Wheel of Fortune. So socially, it looks as though you're making some real headway in positive directions. Socially, you're making friends with the right people, maybe the right partnership, because Jupiter is there in your 7th house this year, so for the majority of the year until November. So making the right partners who are leading you in the right direction, maybe people who are quite insightful, people who kind of open up your world to new possibilities. I think it's going to be a really fun year for you socially, so congratulations on that. First, then let's clarify the Tradition card, or your card, the card of Taurus, the Hierophant. Here is your first clarifier. So this is the Devil. Here it's called bondage, which means that you are tied to the past. And I feel as though this came up in your Vimeo reading and the astrology. There are things that you still need to wait on. You know, this kind of waiting is not the same as this kind of waiting. With this kind of waiting, you feel really bound and without the opportunity to influence your situation. So this is being done to you, and this is you participating in something by making a clear choice. And so here the encouragement is, again, from the December reading, for you to let go and release things of the past so that you can move forward in a new direction. The second clarifier is Temperance. So these both cards represent marriage. So these three cards really represent marriage in the deck. So I feel as though for some of you, you're really tied to a partner, or possibly there's a new marriage potential that's coming up for you in 2018, but something's holding you back and you need to really address those things. We'll definitely talk about that more as the year progresses. In the past, the Chariot is modified by the Moon. So there's subtle feelings and emotions that influence your circumstances. You feel as though this came through for you at the right time. The timing of you overcoming circumstances was really prolific, and you don't know where it came from. You do feel as though it came from somewhere within yourself, and you feel as though you're really greatly encouraged to go in a new direction. There could have been a great deal of inspiration in your life. You could have felt as though there was a lot of catalyst energy, a lot of energy that was inspiring you to do this and that, to change your life for the better. You felt like you were in proximity to magic all the time. The second message is the Tower. So we saw this come through in the Vimeo reading over and over again in your past position. So you guys in 2017 in the third quarter, I'm guessing something hit you quite hard. Something really came to an end abruptly, and actually it freed you up. But the interesting thing is that you're still kind of drawing back to the past and drawing back to the past, holding yourself back from the potential of the future. So make sure that you're not shortchanging yourself, that you are allowing yourself to move forward in a free way, in a direct and free way, away from past limiting beliefs or structures that don't allow you to live freely and don't allow you to move in the directions as freely as the world wants you to. I think that the environment around you is really helping you to move forward, and so is a potential partner. You could have already established a very good partner, someone you can trust, but it's going to take a minute for things to really work themselves out. The oncoming energy is the Empress. So there is some type of influence upon you, and I saw this in the December reading, which has to do with the mother, the ideal mother, your relationship with your mother in some way. Something is really coming into fruition. There's a trust there between yourself and your partner, and between you and your mother. There is love. There's an established truth that's coming through that's really quite important. I feel as though you've moved on from circumstances that have in some way limited you in the past, and now you are embracing a greater truth. This is also claiming your creativity, saying, no one else can tell me how to create. I am my own creator of the things that I want. This is the decision you're making. You're really kind of being given a lot of support by the world around you, but there is a certain situation that has taught you that even though you're getting support, you may deserve, or may feel, not even feel like you deserve, but you have the right to claim your own individual creativity and manifestation. The second clarifier is the Fool, and so there is a new beginning. For you, this may have to do with career, especially if you work in a creative field. For some of you, this is motherhood, in which case, congratulations, Taurus. If you are about to become a mother, I think that will be a very solid direction for you. It will be a very kind of something you can put a lot of faith into, and it won't be that rocky. Not without its challenges, but I feel as though there will be a great support for you in that. In the first quarter of your life, you have the Justice card. So this is balance and order coming into your life, fairness, really balancing out energy and making things fair for you and the people around you. The first quarter represents in the Northern Hemisphere, well, I'll tell you in months, January through March or April. And then the second quarter, you have the Change card. This is the Death card, and so this is when the fundamental change may happen for you, where you become really aware of separating yourself from that past situation, and maybe you'll realize how you're bringing it forward through your beliefs and your convictions. In the third part of the year, which is the time between August and maybe October or so, you have the Hermit. So expect the latter part of the year to begin in a quieter phase. Maybe you'll be thinking about things and situations. Maybe that's when you will be going your own direction. In your Vimeo reading, this card came up for the second house, I remember, which meant that in terms of your career, in terms of your finances and your financial goals, it was important for you to move forward towards like these situations that made you make a choice in your own direction. Really kind of cut out the past, move forward in a new direction that worked well for you. The last quarter is the Magician, which is a powerful card. I think you got this in the Vimeo reading as well, which is really manifesting forward lessons of the past. And remember, I told you in 2019 everything really comes into focus for you. The outcome card is the Emperor, which means that you're taking ownership over your world. This can also represent a marriage in which you or your partner become the Emperor. I feel as though there's a real connection here of the oncoming energy, and you have to be really patient, Taurus, which I think you are, and there's really good things coming for you. Patient, what is it? Patience is a virtue or whatever. So yeah, it's good things come to those who wait. That's what I was trying. Patience is a virtue. Trying to be all professional here because it's a year preview reading. All right, so you have so you do have like patience is a virtue and good things come to those who wait. And so so you have good energy coming onto you. And so this is Jupiter. Jupiter is going to bring really new things into your life by November 2018. So this is Sagittarius, where Jupiter is going to be in November 2018. So give it time. There might be some kind of reflective periods leading up to that time. You may have to withdraw and focus on yourself and figure out what you truly want. So give things time to kind of create. And if you're in a situation where you get pregnant and the partner's not really there, I could see by the end of the year either a new or that partner coming around and really being there for you, and you might have to go through a period of self-care and love. This is the card of friendship, so be a friend to yourself in the third quarter, regardless of what's going on in your external environment. The card for the star is Lilith. Ooh, that's crazy. Okay, so Lilith is in Capricorn for the majority of the year, and then later on in Aquarius, which is the sign of Aquarius. So expect things to get poppin'. Lilith will move into Aquarius. Let me tell you when. Lilith moves into Aquarius in July of 2018. So maybe this is when everything suddenly changes and something becomes exposed. Remember that Uranus is in your 12th house, which is hidden enemies. So something is getting flushed out. And the Emperor is your 12th house card for the Vimeo reading. So there could be some kind of interplay between the 12th house and rulership and July. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen here in your life, and I think you'll be monumental, and I think it's going to be really important, and it's going to help you release those bondage restrictions that you've placed in your life, that you've agreed to. So you have, this is representing the earth, fundamental changes to your life, and on the earth, in and about the summertime or springtime, right in the middle of the year. So the 5th month through the 7th month or so, May through July. Let's see your Judgment card. And so you're struggling. This is Chiron, and Chiron's moving into Aries and then back into Pisces. Struggling with social relationships, and this is a duality I haven't addressed yet. There's this facet of be careful of someone. I'm probably guessing Lilith. Be careful of this person. Well, at the same time, there will be wonderful people who support you. And so your task for 2018 is to figure out who are the people who are going to help you get there. Like, do you see that figure that's holding up the stairs so that you can climb up and go in a new direction? So that Chiron can represent as though you're figuring out within yourself who to trust and who to not trust, who to kind of draw away from. Yes? The oncoming energy right here, your social environment, 777. This is a blessing and this is support for you in a new direction. This is like the universe is helping you in order to bring good things in, you know, blessings and hope and opportunity. Below the surface, we see Capricorn. So again, the theme of Capricorn is huge this year, particularly in the early part of the year when Lilith is transiting over Pluto, and Saturn and Mars are really active right until the mid-year, until about the 8th month. So this is also the card of Capricorn, the bondage card, or the devil. So maybe these are issues that you're resolving with regard to two firm belief systems or two firm convictions that you are not letting go of quite so quickly. The outcome energy is the Emperor, so let's clarify that. And let's see. For the Emperor, what I see is the, so this is the heart chakra, I believe. Yes, it's a pretty bad token. So this is Yam, which is the heart chakra. The mantra for this is Yam. So the outcome is love. And the mudra for this is like this. And so you want to hold your fingers together and then place this against your sternum, against your heart, not your sternum, but against your heart, and practice singing Yam. So you want to go like this. Imagine this is your chest. You want to place your hand in this way and sing Yam, which is an expression of love. So maybe we'll leave you with that for this reading, and stay tuned for the astrology reading and the Vimeo reading. Thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you guys have a wonderful year. Happy New Year, Taurus. Check out all my links down below for more readings. There's definitely a lot for you to check out. And yeah, thanks again. Have a good day. Bye. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me and welcome to this reading for your horoscope spread on the Instagram post. So I didn't do a proper intro, or at least I didn't figure out how to link everything through to Vimeo from Instagram. Instagram doesn't allow for clickable links yet, so it's very hard to kind of direct you guys in the direction of the house clarifier readings. So I'm going to just attach this to the videos in which I didn't explain this for you guys. So this is why you're watching this intro. So basically this video is a sample of what you can find on Vimeo. This is a reading connected to my Instagram post for the horoscope spread for 2018, in which I read for each of the houses of your horoscope for your natal sign, and made a separate video for each house to clarify what kind of energies you should expect for 2018. Okay, so those videos are now available on Vimeo for rent. And this is a sample video that shows the center card for that horoscope spread and what you will expect in each of the videos. It's the same format for every single one. So because we couldn't link through from Instagram, we're going to show you a sample here, and down below you can find the direct links for all of the houses for your sign. So stay tuned, and now you are going to watch the video that I taped for the center card in each of the horoscope spreads. Now if you don't want to rent the video, by the time that this video reaches, or the Instagram post reaches 500 hearts, I will be releasing some of the videos, if not all, on YouTube. So you can hold on tight, and when that post reaches 500 hearts, then I'll be able to release that for you guys on YouTube. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for your sign. Happy 2018. I'm sure you're hearing it a lot. But anyway, thank you so much. Bye. Hi Gemini, and thank you for joining me today, and welcome to this video for your astrological reading that I did for you on Instagram. So this is the reading that we saw on Instagram, and I just thought I would clarify it for you here today. And what we're going to do is do this sample video in which we clarify the moon, the main central energy of your year, so you can see how the other videos will look. So all the other houses are going to be clarified in separate videos that you can rent individually or as a part of a set. The moon is going to be clarified as a sample to you. Just as a note, it's important to know that maybe at some point I will make this available on YouTube. So if that's the case, then you know, you can hold off and save your money. But if you want to support me a little bit or the channel, this is the way in which you can do it. Okay, so why don't we start off with the moon? Let me just excuse me, clarify take off all the other cards, and we'll just take a look at the moon, and I'll show you what I do in each video for each of the houses, so you get an idea of what to expect. Okay, so each video will be, I think, 5 minutes long. They're turning out to be. So your central energy is the moon, which represents intuition, knowledge, hidden feelings, mysteries. I love the moon in a positive sense. It is a feminine archetype, right? And so oftentimes when people read about the feminine archetype, the moon, they kind of associate with it some kind of negativity. However, it represents a path of inner knowledge, understanding. It's a time of peace, a time of dreams, and so it's a really wonderful card that represents a lot of sensitive information, sensitive meaning that it's guided by a higher force and has this kind of special quality to it. It's ruled by Pisces, by the way, so maybe there will be a lot of Piscean people in your life. The card deck I'm reading with is the Tarot de Baleine, and so it's a beautiful deck. I think it has gilded edges, but in a very classy way, so they're not like overly cheap or anything. Anyway, I'll show you guys. It's a really old deck. It's kind of fun because it has different meanings to the cards. They're older than the Rider-Waite. Let's have a look and see. So your first message is the Knight of Swords. So you have someone who's either directly, this is called a spy. So we have the word spy. It's all in French, and it's Old French, so my translations are going to be poor. But there may be some kind of person who's a challenger to the status quo of your life this year, or this could be you branching out into new areas of your life. Actually, if we take a look at your entire spread, there is that quality of branching out / going a different direction, starting something new. In the other videos, I'll highlight the reading here. I don't have it ready, so I'm going to highlight the reading here for you for the next reading, so you'll have that there to reference, or just open up your Instagram if you want to look at it now. So we have 8 of Cups, which usually represents walking away from something, but in this it says heureuse union, which means a happy union. So you have a happy union. I don't read these cards in reverse. And it says La Fille Blanc, which means a fair woman, right? A fair woman. And we have Venus in Aquarius, which is not a typical association for the 8 of Cups. So this 8 of Cups is one of my favorite cards, actually. It represents kind of looking around and seeing the possibilities that are out there, but not necessarily going in another direction, just looking around. And this is the moon. There may be this kind of branching out quality in your life. You might be feeling the need to branch out or kind of diversify your life, or go in a different direction. Here is the next message, and we have the 2 of Swords, and so with that we have protection contre I'll read it in French. I'm trying to read it in English. Protection contre l'ennemi connu ou secret, which means protection against enemies and knowledge of secrets. So this is an interesting interpretation of the 2 of Swords, and I can't interpret every single card because some of the French is written in a really fine way. So, but it also says this word, amitié, which is friendship, and it's ruled by the moon. But the Two of Swords is a decision that you need to make, and I think that this is the core energy of your year. There's this kind of branching out quality. It all works together really nice, actually. Branching out, kind of setting your horizons in new directions, new ideas coming through. And then we have the Eight of Cups, which is branching out, looking in different directions. And then finally the Two of Swords, which is kind of trying to make a decision without knowing all the possibilities. So each time I do this video, I'm going to pick a clarifier with the Doreen Virtue Answers deck. So what you guys are meant to do in each video is put a question in your mind with regard to what I'm reading, and then I will just answer it with this, just like a magic 8-ball, which I have somewhere. Oh, there it is. Maybe I should do that for some of the videos. But anyway, so we'll pick a card from the Doreen Virtue deck. This is your card. So put a question in your mind. If you're not ready, pause the video now, because I'm about to flip it over. And we have improving health. So we have the need to improve health, and that can mean all sorts of different types of health. Social health, I think in your case, when I see the big reading, it does remind me of social health. Maybe the people around you, and then you have a Tower in your first house, which means a transformation in your personal area of your life and who you are. So there will be a lot of change and transformation. And then for each video, I will also pick a card from my chest, which you guys haven't seen for a year. Don't worry that it's upside down. Some of the cards will be upside down because I just mixed up everything looking for something. But we have the Hierophant, which is the card of education and study. This is the card of Taurus as well. Knowledge, learning, growth, and potential. So I feel as though established rules, trying to find your tribe, trying to find an appropriate place to put your energy, etc. So this is a sample for the reading, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I will either post all the other videos on Vimeo now, and then later on I may post all of them to YouTube or for free, or I may just post some of them. I think that the offer that I'm going to make is that if you guys get 500 hearts on the Instagram post, then I will post if you guys do 500 hearts on the Instagram post, I will post everything on YouTube, but I'm not sure, or select ones anyway. But if you do like to support me, then get the other videos. I hope you guys have a nice day. Thank you. Happy New Year. Bye, Gemini. Hi Gemini, and thank you for joining me for this 2018 astrological overview. This is a supplement to your Higher Arcana reading that is linked in the About section, so go check that out. I'm also doing a second special reading on Instagram using the astrological houses that you see here. And so that is going to be clarified on Vimeo, I think, and all those links will be provided in the About section as well. So you get a lot of readings for 2018. This is just a little bit of astrology, definitely maybe like 10 transits or something. So just to give you a quick overview as to what's going on with the astrology. So on January 31st, we have a full moon eclipse. This is happening in your, sorry, this is the wrong chart. So in January, you have a full moon eclipse. This is happening in your third house of communication. This is your ruling house, although here in your chart, Leo rules the house, but Gemini rules the third house. It's ruled by the planet Mercury. And so this is really allowing you to move forward in the direction that you have set out for you. The North Node is in Leo in conjunction with this full moon eclipse. It's right before the conjunction. The full moon eclipse happens at 11 degrees, but that's close enough. And so you have this ability to really finalize things, bring things into completion, bring things to a bigger perspective. Some type of deeper meaning is being brought about for you with this full moon eclipse. The second transit, we have a partial solar eclipse on February 15th, and so that is going to happen in your ninth house. This has to do with your travel, public life, public ideas, university. You're also releasing karma here from the past and past lives. So this is going to be a monumental eclipse as well. With a new moon eclipse, what you're doing is you're initiating in energy. So if you have plans for long distance travel, or if you have some things that you want to achieve in university, this might be the time to initiate that. At this time, you'll feel a lot of energy in this direction. And there's a nice little stellium here as well, okay? Including Venus, actually. Venus has just transited, through Aquarius. Now on March 8th, we have our retrograde period for Jupiter. Now Jupiter is in your 6th house of service, career, health. When Jupiter goes retrograde, you're still getting benefits in this area of your life. However, those benefits may be a little bit less prominent, less pronounced. This retrograde period will last between March 8th and July 10th. It's a long transit, and so through this time, Jupiter is going to be giving you benefits towards health and fitness, but it's really a time for you to lay that foundation for yourself in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve in terms of health and fitness. There's a nice trine that evolves during this time between Chiron and Jupiter, particularly in the beginning of this transit and at the end when Jupiter moves back into this position. But in early March, you will have the opportunity to possibly heal identity issues. So Chiron's in your 10th house of identity, finishing up its transit of Pisces, creating a trine to Jupiter. So if you've been ever judged externally for your appearance, or if you feel as though you're in somehow limited by physical things, aspects of yourself that you can control with health, diet and nutrition, then this is a time in which you can address those very personal feelings towards self-esteem, okay? The next transit we have is in March as well. On March 22nd, we have Mercury retrograde. So people really hate this transit. I'm okay with it, just as long as you take the attitude that you're rehashing things. Now this is a stellium. Aries and Capricorn, and I think one other sign, is going to have prominent stelliums throughout 2018, and you'll see that in future videos. So probably for July through December. I forgot to mention that this video is just until July. I know you probably know from the title, but you're only the second sign that I'm doing this for, so just be patient with me. But yeah, so Mercury goes retrograde in Aries on March 22nd, and that will last until April 15th. And so this is going to be in stellium with the Sun, Venus, Eris is always there, and Uranus. And Uranus is finishing up its transit of your 11th house. So first of all, you have this really cool transit that's been there for 8 years that has brought in new people, new situations into your social life. That's great. It's taught you to think outside the box about others and welcoming new people in. Wonderful stuff. Now with Mercury retrograde, the other magician, I always think of Uranus as the magician, even though he's the scientist, but I do think of Uranus as the magician as well. And so Mercury, the primary magician, the ruler of the 3rd house, goes retrograde. It's also your ruler, by the way, in Aries. Preemptive things could be said to people that can turn them off, you know, so you really want to bite your tongue on that one from April 8th, I think I said, to April 15th. Also Venus, I'm highlighting this because Venus is in rulership in Taurus, will move into your 12th house, into rulership at the end of the month on March 31st. So this is going to be a time when spirituality is at a high point for you. You feel an emotional connection to your spiritual core, meditation, also healing karma that everyone forgets because we focus on South Node, North Node, but the 12th house is the karmic house. It's like the house of the residual, everything that's left there. So Venus is bringing love into your 12th house and healing a lot of that stuff in a much easier way than having to toil between the nodes. By the way, this stellium is going to lead right into a T-square. A T-square is is a tough energy on Uranus that's going to last for a good part of the year. This is going to be off of the base of the South and the North Node. What that means is that your personal spiritual development from the South Node, your karmic center, where you start off life with all the karma that you've accrued from past lifetimes, is going to take you forward to your Dharma, the North Node. And so this is a much more intense way of dealing out karma. That the pressure point on that is going to be innovation and change, both in spirituality but primarily in your social life. So you may feel like there's some type of opposition to your personal progress and development. There might be pressure put upon you by your social group that you kind of rebel against in certain ways. Especially in Aries, things can get heated. Make sure that you mind yourself at the end of March, beginning of April, okay? And then on April 17th, we have Chiron moving into Aries. This is a huge transit. Chiron will actually begin a retrograde period I think in July, and that will continue into 2018, or even towards the end of the year, I think in December. But Chiron moves into Aries, and so everybody who was born in the 70s, etc., will be starting to experience this Chiron transit. I think maybe 69 it switched over. But anyway, it's a long transit. It lasts, I think, 6 years. These are the long parts of Chiron's transit: Pisces, Aries, Taurus. Those are like 8 years, 7 years, 6 years. I think it looks like that. Chiron has an elliptical rather than a circular orbit, so certain signs it's in for a really long time. Now, if you're born in the Aries generation, then you're good. Much better than if you were born in the Pisces generation. All of my clients, so many clients that I had over the last year and a half, couple years, were from the 60s, especially now towards the late 60s, as Chiron was creating conjunction to your placements in your public life of all things. So you may have felt like really under a lot of pressure, really ridiculed, or maybe feeling the scars of the past really creeping up on you. So if you were born in that generation, I really feel you. And if you hadn't gotten a reading to clarify that, then that's what was going on in your life. But Chiron now is in Aries. I don't know what Chiron in Aries is going to feel like. I don't think it's going to be as deep as in Pisces. I don't think that the hurt is as deep. Piscean Chiron, I think, is probably one of the hardest transits for Chiron. But in Aries, it comes with its own problems, of course. It brings up issues of impatience, of kind of hot temper, heated temper, all those things that we know about Aries that are kind of in some way negative. And also Eris is here, so whenever you have like a malefic transit like Eris or Lilith, and something vulnerable comes through like the moon or Chiron, then you want to watch out for that. But Eris is at 23 degrees Aries, and she's not going anywhere soon, so you have a few years before there's an actual conjunction. This is particularly real if you're born in the late 70s, I believe, mid to late 70s, because that's where your Chiron is, somewhere around there. And you could be experiencing like 1 or 2 years of some kind of disruption as Chiron transits in Aries. But for now, Chiron is in Aries. I'm sure I'll do a special on it in your social life. So there's pressure on your social relationships. Maybe things from the past kind of are mirrored by the present. Some circumstances that were socially difficult for you in the past are coming up again. And so that comes up. Usually the first few months or the first few degrees of a transit are like the most eye-opening, I would say. Yeah, I don't want to fearmonger. And then we have Saturn going retrograde on April 17th. And so this is a chart for April 17th in your 8th house. This is going to give you a break. So Saturn's in Capricorn from December 20th. And on April 17th, it goes retrograde, taking the pressure off of change. So you get the big first dose of Saturn in Capricorn at the beginning of the year. Then through the mid-year in 2018, you get a nice little break. Saturn's going to be retrograde between April 17th and September 6th. And in fact, in September, you're going to see all these planets go direct. I think Mars, Pluto, and Saturn, all in Capricorn, are going to go direct over a span of 3 weeks. So you're going to have this refocusing energy. So yeah, so very important. Lilith starts moving in on Pluto. This is important to also take note of, and I'll do a special on this. If you remembered Lilith with Saturn and Sagittarius, I still shudder. You know, this is the kind of complications, except this is a little deeper. This is a little bit more subterranean, a little subsurface, a little bit underhanded. You know, so be careful with this transit, and it's a slow one because it's a slow one. It lasts a couple months. So through the latter part of the year, change and transformation, you're kind of at the mercy, really light and bright sexual situations. Be really, really cautious, Gemini, with sexual situations in April, in May. Definitely once Mars clears this area of, Mars will be retrograde too. Oh goodness. So this is going to last for a minute. It's going to last until like October, this transit of Pluto, Mars, Lilith, and Pluto in the 8th house. So be very careful of overly intense or in somehow toxic sexual encounters that you may have. Don't be compulsive. Don't push into things. Be careful of violence within your sex life. If there's any red flags, any warning signs, definitely get out of there. And that's both for the female and for the masculine energies. There could be a huge shift for you financially also, where your responsibilities become shared responsibilities all of a sudden. So there will be a giant swing of the pendulum. Now this is kind of a precursor for a larger transit that's coming up in 2020. And this is when Jupiter will be in Capricorn as well. So through these months, through April, May, June, July, August, Jesus, it's like 5 or 6 months of the year. Some of this is going to be retrograde, so you'll be okay, but it's going to be a precursor for the 2020 transit, which is going to really socket to all of us. I mean, it's a huge conjunction between stellium, between all of these planets. There's going to be so many planets in your 8th house. Pay attention to what's going on in your life in 2018, so you understand what's coming up for you in 2 years' time, or a year and a half really, when all these planets align in this 8th house. This is also the house of death. This is also the house of transformation and change. Hopefully you will be liberated by it. Hopefully you will be emancipated from whatever limits or restrictions you have on your life. But it would be unfair to say that this is not big, whatever it is. And I don't want to fearmonger, but it's going to be huge. So pay attention to your life in 2018 through those mid-months when some of these planets are retrograde. Pluto goes retrograde on, where does Pluto go retrograde? April 22nd. So Pluto goes retrograde on April 22nd. And so sorry about that noise, but Pluto goes retrograde on April 22nd. Mars will go retrograde in June, and then Saturn's retrograde on April 17th. So this energy is actually going to dive in deep, and then it's going to mitigate and pull back a little bit, be less intense. And definitely when a part of this transit is happening, you're going to have spiritual, supportive energy of Venus. You're going to feel that connection. You're going to feel that resolve. Okay. So we also have on 22nd Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. That's going to last until September 30th. The Saturn retrograde again is going to last until September 6th. Sorry, I got distracted a little bit. But on May 15th, I don't think I have a chart for that. We have also Uranus switching signs. So this is when Uranus moves into Taurus. Where's Taurus? So Taurus, this is going to happen in your 12th house. I natally have Uranus in my 12th house. I really particularly enjoy this transit natally, and I hope you enjoy it as a transit. It's a time when spirituality gets unpacked and reshaped. You have the ability to look at spiritual matters from a different perspective. You're very observant, very clear thinking, very capable of understanding kind of the nuanced milieu around you that is maybe lost to regular ways of doing things. So you create this kind of jazz environment in your spiritual life, which allows you to become more fluid, accepting, and tolerant of various different perspectives, views, opinions. I'm thinking of my friend who is a Gemini, and she dances, and I can just see her dancing, which is for her definitely a spiritual event, really being unpacked and transformed and liberated with this transit. So I hope you guys really enjoy this transit. It's a long-term transit that will last pretty much, I think, 7 years. And there is going to be a T-square on this point for a part of this year as well, off of the nodes. So you will be tripping over yourself. I know I just spoke about dance, but you will be in some way tripping over yourself, giving yourself a little bit of a hard time integrating your personal transformations with your progress in life. But it'll be a learning curve, and it'll give you an opportunity to look at your life from a different dimension than the one that you had before. Okay, June 18th, let's look at the last chart for today. So we have June 18th chart, Neptune retrograde. So Neptune retrograde happens every year. It's in your 10th house of career. You went through that last year, but last year was with Chiron. So Chiron's gone now. Neptune's alone in your 10th house. You gain perspective on the world. Again, new ways of doing things. I think that, well, it's a semi-square, so it's not necessarily an easy energy between Neptune and Uranus through this transit. However, Neptune's doing good work for you in the 10th house, both direct or retrograde. I like Neptune all around. Neptune's a good planet. In retrograde, you might have some confusion about things, so maybe big, long-term, like decade-long decisions about things may want to wait until after November 24th if you can hold out on it. But you can start daydreaming, looking at things from a different perspective. Neptune rules the Hanged Man, so this is the Hanged Man reverse, right? So the Hanged Man starts to have some agency and perspective on their circumstances and situations. When Neptune goes direct, for some of us it's flooding, it's way too much, and for others it's liberating. It really depends. You have to feel this out for yourself. Take a look at the time last year when Neptune was retrograde. How did you feel? How did it affect you? You're going to get more of the same, so you can figure out that pattern. Like I said, it's 4 months, June 18th through November 24th or so, 5 months, and that happens every year. So it's a pretty common event. Figure out how you feel through it. Expect more of the same in 2018. Now on June 26th, Mars goes retrograde, and in Aquarius, he'll dip back into Capricorn, and by August 27th, no, I believe on the 6th of September, Mars goes direct in Capricorn. So there will be a lot of action going on. By June, Lilith is now clearing the energy of Pluto. Really good news. Now they're getting away from each other, and that's what you want. You don't want these big powerhouse warring energies, structural energies, to be in direct conflict with one another. You don't want them to be head to head on top of one another, because in a healthy environment, sometimes that leads to good things. In an unhealthy environment, that can cause quite a bit of chaos. And if you look back to your life in August and September of 2017, when Lilith was with Saturn in Sagittarius, maybe you'll have some perspective of how chaotic things can go. I hope it wasn't chaotic for you, but it can get chaotic. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the complimentary tarot card reading in the About section below, and also my post on Instagram and the clarifying reading. So what I did was I take a astrological grid just like this, and I lay out the cards in a circle, and then I posted that to Instagram, and then the clarifier for each house is available on Vimeo. You guys can rent it. I think I'm going to do a promo that if you guys get the post on Instagram up to 500 hearts or something really reasonable, then I'll make some or all the videos available. So that's how it's going to work as far as I know now. Look for more information in the About section. Have a happy new year, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye. Hi Gemini, and thank you for joining me for this part 2 of your astrology overview for 2018. If you would like to see the first video for January through June, then please go in the About section. There's a link to that below. Also, if you would like to see the tarot card reading for the entire year, the link is down below as well. I did a second reading just focused on July through December in tarot. That link is available as well. So there's a lot of links available. Finally, I did a astrology overview reading on Instagram. This used the regular house system in astrology, and so on Vimeo, I believe I clarified each of the houses. Now, if you guys had gotten that post up to 500 hearts on Instagram, I made some or all of that video available on YouTube, and that link is available below as well. So you can rent the clarifiers for each specific house on Vimeo if you would like more information. Okay, so let's see. I think I let you guys know all of it. By this time of year, there's a lot of extra content. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and it put a lot of time into putting it together for you guys, so I hope it is illuminating your year for you well. And so today, why don't we just talk about a few transits that are happening in July through December, and we'll just go through them. It really isn't a lot of work, so yeah, just have a look at it, and then I'll clarify. So here is your first chart. This is for July 12th. July 12th is when the new moon happens and we have a solar eclipse. That happens in the sign of Cancer. Now this is for you in your second house. Wonderful transit for money, financial beginnings that will last a long time. This is supported by a grand trine energy. Very, very nice energy. We'll talk about this more when we do the special, but here you'll be initiating new financial patterns. Backtracking a little bit, Chiron is retrograde from July 5th in Aries. July 5th in Aries? Yeah, it must be. And will continue to be retrograde until December. It'll pop back into Pisces. This is more generational, so those of you who are born in the 70s are affected differently. And definitely those of you born in the late 60s in Pisces, you'll have your last kind of hurrah with Chiron for a while. Okay? And then we have Jupiter in Scorpio, going direct on July 10th. So soon? Really? It must be. I went through the other transits so quickly. So Jupiter's going direct on July 10th in your 6th house of service. This is going to be a time between July and November in which you can make huge gains in terms of your effort, your exercise, and your athleticism, nutrition as well. This might be a time when you gain weight again, so be careful how much calories you're eating, etc. Mercury is retrograde between July 26th and August 19th. Hold on, I'll show you the chart. Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house of communication. This is going to affect a lot for you guys because you are the ruler of the 3rd house. And so make sure that you're using concise, direct language without too many metaphors, allusions, etc., because they can get confused. The Mercury retrograde period lasts between July 26th and the 19th, and definitely a time when you want less is more, and listening is better than speaking. And then we have Uranus retrograde at 2 degrees of Taurus. This is happening in your spiritual house. Uranus does not go back into Aries at all, but will be in this transit probably until early 2019. Uranus retrograde in the 12th house starts to look at things from the inside out, from a different perspective. There may be some latency with change of your spiritual beliefs. You may go back to a faith system that you had begun life practicing. There might be a little bit of reminiscence or kind of remembering the past. August 11th, we have a new moon, partial solar eclipse. Now this happens in Leo. Let's see if I have a chart for that. Yeah, there it is. And so this is a little bit of a stellium that happens in Leo. So remember, in the early part of the year, we had a focus on Capricorn. There's a bit of a focus between Capricorn and Aquarius. Lilith moves into your 9th house. That's important. Finally, she'll take the pressure off of your 8th house. I don't like Lilith in the 8th house. She's way too strong and way too susceptible to putting negative pressure in your life that can cause really far-reaching consequences, such as preemptive endings. In the 9th house, she affects the way that you think, and especially with a conjunction with the South Node in Aquarius, you could have karmic issues being exploited, you know, having things thrown in your face a bit, but it's much better than the 8th house. Anyway, the new moon eclipse happens in your 3rd house of communication. Again, initiating new things. You can do a vision board, some kind of communication of things that you want. The Sun, Mercury, and the moon are together in this transit. They're not really directly opposed by anything, so you have this opportunity to kind of initiate new things, although maybe acting will be delayed as there is a square to Jupiter at this time. So Jupiter will slow down that effect for you, but eclipses are very powerful things, and especially when it's in the house that you rule. Okay, so Mars goes direct August 27th. I think I was saying that Mars goes direct on the 6th, but he's at 28 degrees Capricorn, and so this begins this forward moving domino effect of Mars, Saturn, and Pluto becoming direct in late August, early September. So things are going to pick up. It's almost like a train that's leaving the station, you know, kind of slow. I think trains even backpedal a little bit and then they move forward. So this is like huge change and transformation. The go button is on the mark for you. So Mars goes direct on August 27th, and then Saturn goes direct on August 6th. This is going to really put a lot of pressure on you to make changes now. And then Pluto goes direct on the 30th, and this transit actually means that at this time you will be again forward thinking in terms of your karma. So you're resolving future karma rather than past karma. You're leading the way in new directions. Pluto's retrograde about half of the time of the year, so this is a pretty consistent transit. So in Venus, in October, Venus goes retrograde. So we have a Venus retrograde period. This is in your 6th house. Your 6th house is getting a lot of activity this year as well, especially with Jupiter and now Venus retrograde. This will last until November 17th, right to the edge of Libra in your 5th house of romantic relationships. Don't go back to relationships that in some way shamed the way that you looked. I saw this in the first video. It's linked in the About section, the first astrological video, that there's a theme of overcoming ridicule for your appearance. No matter how beautiful you are, you may have experienced something that have tainted your self-perception, and at this time maybe people will come back in who mirror that, or maybe the direct perpetrator of that transgression could be coming up for you as well. The next message is the changing of the nodes. Now I know some people use the true node, which switches on November 6th into Capricorn and into Cancer, but I use the North Node and the South Node just for the purpose of this video, and so we have November 16th being the transition point, in which the emphasis of your goal setting is going to be financial for the next year and a half, and then you're going to be relinquishing ties to connections with other people around financial issues, so entanglements, etc., cutting those cords and ties. November 8th, I know I'm taking things back a little bit, we have Jupiter moving into Sagittarius. That's a transit in your 7th house of partnership. This is a very good transit, partnering up for business, for pleasure. When Jupiter's in the 7th house, there's a real high chance that you might meet a significant partner, and this year it doesn't look like it's obstructed by anything, so you have a lot of opportunity. You're leading the way to the changes that Jupiter will bring and into your 8th house in 2019, And the liberation, this whole kind of domino effect of the Capricorn stellium in your 8th house. So this is really a preparatory year, and in later 2018 you will see this kind of benefic transit of Jupiter in the 7th house, bringing the right people in to support you in the following year, when there's going to be a lot of change and transition for you. We'll talk about that, all the transits when they happen, and definitely as they become more in focus or closer. Venus goes direct in your 6th house. Focus on nutrition comes into play. Also remember, when Venus is retrograde between October 5th and November 16th, you might slack on your health and fitness regimen. November 16th, Mercury retrograde happens in Sagittarius, okay? So this is when Mercury retrograde, okay, let's see this. There we are. Mercury retrograde happens in Sagittarius. So if you've met someone, or if there's a connection there, you might want to be careful with how much you say between November 16th and December 6th. There could be confusion causing difficulties in new relationships or established relationships. You just want to take your time. Ooh, this is a pretty big T square. That's only brief because it involves Venus, but we see this the grand square, sorry, grand cross. But there's the T square on Uranus here in the 11th house in Aries, and you can see that pressure point that I mentioned before. Maybe I mentioned this in the first video, so if I didn't explain it here, go back to that other one. It's linked down below. Okay. Mercury retrograde happens in your 7th house. Be careful how you talk to partners. And November 24th, Neptune goes direct in your 10th house. Again, I did a more involved explanation of this transit in the first video. It's linked in the about section, but just a general overview. Neptune affects all of us differently depending on your other transits and planets, etc. So for some of you, Neptune direct is really good. For some of you, it's flooding. And conversely, for some of you, Neptune retrograde is very confusing, while for others, it brings things into focus. Neptune is retrograde about 5 months of the year, so this is not something out of the ordinary. And you should be just observing how you are affected by it on a year-to-year basis. Okay? This year you have the Mars and, well, the Moon briefly, and Chiron briefly here with Neptune in your 10th house. And so this is going to be maybe putting some pressure on you in order to push your career in a healthy direction, something that is authentic to your perspective in the world and your place in the world. Chiron goes direct on December 9th and will soon move back into Aries and your 11th house of social relationships, putting pressure on you or teaching you how to heal your scars that have happened with regard to social relationships, and liberation of your life from entanglements with circumstances that were below you. Anyway, I hope you guys like this second part reading for July through December 2018. Happy New Year, you guys. And then also, if you guys want more clarification, I am doing a full tarot card reading for the same time period. I also did a full year reading from January to December. Those are both linked down below. And then finally, I did an Instagram post using the astrological wheel on my Instagram, and I clarified each of the houses on Vimeo, so you guys can rent that. And if that post on Instagram gets to 500 hearts, then I will make some or all of the videos available on YouTube in one video, in which case I will link that below for you guys as well. But I do appreciate those of you guys who support my channel by renting the videos on Vimeo. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, happy 2018. Enjoy all the content I've made, and I hope you have a good one. Take care. Bye.